welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I am your host, Stephanie Michelle. This is the show where we talk about exceptional human encounters, the people who make them happen, and the actions it takes to create them. We are pre-recording the show on October 18th. It's a beautiful Friday morning in Los Angeles. Today, I want to reflect on a pop culture word that I am not a fan of at all. The word is thirsty. It's used a lot in reference to people's social media posts as a judgment that that person is trying too hard and is desperate for attention. They want more likes or comments. And I will admit that I've seen some posts that do feel like that's what's going on, but I've also heard the word thirsty used to disregard someone's relational needs, and I'm just not a fan of that. First of all, I think we should all be brave enough to communicate what we need without fear. We do need each other. No matter what the outcome is, the practice of communicating what we need while releasing any expectations to outcome in that moment is what we need to do to get closer to experiencing the beautiful nature of our interdependence with each other. Thankfully, I was reminded of this morning, so I have something to actually share with you that is an example of this. So this morning I woke up today and I was dealing with just a ton of pain in my body. I barely thought I was going to be able to get out of bed. I thought that this day would probably be pretty rough for me, and I'm going to need to do something to get through it. So what I did was I needed to do an extra dose of love to get myself through it. And I call this, so what I'm about to share with you is the formula for what I call microdosing love. And here's what it takes to do it. So there's actually 4 steps. So the first thing I do is remind myself of my favorite definition of love, and it's this. It's from the book, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. And the definition is, love is the willingness to extend yourself for someone else's spiritual growth. So I remind myself of that. To me, that was really profound when I first heard it the first time. And then the second step is I recall my favorite moments of love and let those feelings just rush over me. And thirdly, I remind myself that in order for me to feel more love, I need to have my own willingness to extend and be alert to other people and recognize that when they're extending or in an extension mode too. And lastly, and I think this is where the magic comes in, so this is a really important step, I reflect on what I've proven over and over again, what I believe this Bible verse means. And the verse is Matthew 18:20. And it reads, "For wherever 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I will be with them." Now, I've come to realize that God is love. And when people connect in a way that they're in this extended love mode, there's always spiritual energy available to both parties, no matter what their religion is, no matter if they believe in God or not, whether they know that spiritual opportunities are available to them. It doesn't matter. It's available in that space and time. So after doing all of this, I proved it again that there is a formula to microdosing love. So I got to work, I rode the elevator to my office building this morning with a member of the maintenance crew here in the building. And I heard my love voice say, extend right now. So I started talking to him. And what I noticed, he was carrying like this huge wad of keys. And I'm like, I got it. I got exactly, what it's going to take for us to have this kind of moment. And so I told him about this moment that I had with my grandmother at my grandfather's funeral. And I was a young girl, and I remember my grandmother coming up to me, and she had her little hands cupped around this huge wad of keys that were my grandfather's. And she said to me, "This is how important your grandfather was. This is how many people trusted him and how loved he was." And I just thought that was so profound. So I shared this with my friend in the elevator, and he just lit up. He was like, wow. And he just looked at me, and his face was a big smile, and he just, as to say thank you. And then he said to me, he goes, "That was really special." And we both got out of that elevator, just like lifted, and I was like, yep, that's it. That's my microdose of love. That's what I needed to get through this day. So try it. I know it works. I've done this over and over again, and I'm feeling it right now. I'm also feeling it because I'm thrilled to tell you that I'm here with someone very, very special. A season of Relatable would not be complete without returning all-star champion guest, Robert Graves. So Robert is in the studio with us today. He's a 10-year Marine Corps vet and is currently the Director of Operations for the Disabled American Veterans Department of California. He's a recent grad of USC Marshall. Robert has has put his head down in the last 3 years and has written a book, established a podcast, awarded Veteran of the Year, and finished 2 master's programs. Damn, son. Interned at the United States Military Academy, West Point, and was the chief operating officer of VR Tech and mental health startup, treasurer of the board of directors on the Disabled Resource Center, and is now back working with veterans at one of the largest veterans service organizations in the U.S. Jeez. I mean, I like you just because you're a cool guy, not because of all this. But anyhow, but he couldn't do, and this is the heart of who Robert is, because he gave me this bio last night. But he says he couldn't do any of this without the support of his wife, Arlene, and his son, Jay. Yeah, that's you, man.
It's funny because as I always wrote, you asked for a bio, and I said, hey, Arlene, will you write a bio for me?
Oh, she wrote it.
No, she didn't write it. She goes, when's it need to be done? I go, tonight. She says, no. I said, okay. She goes, you have so many. I go, yeah, but I don't have anything new since I've started this position.
Yeah.
And I go, what am I going to write? And after I wrote, I go, oh, I did all this in 3 years. She goes, yeah, you've been busy. I go, it doesn't feel like that at all. So, but yeah, thank you for having me.
No.
Again.
I mean, that's first of all very impressive, and a couple of those things I don't even think I knew, and we do try to stay in touch.
Yeah.
But that last line, like I said, that's why I have you. I just know the heart of who you are, and I just can't get enough of it. So, so you heard I got to rant a little bit about what I was feeling and thinking of this morning. What's pulling your attention right now?
So actually, you want
to microdose love?
We have to find your grandfather's keys and go around the city and see whose house we can get into.
Oh yeah. Well, this is in Michigan, and I'm sure that wad of keys still kind of exists because my grandparents have a farm.
Yeah.
And we boarded horses, so a lot of it had to do with taking care of horses. He was part of the sheriff's posse, Chamber of Commerce, all these local organizations, and I suspect that wad of keys still kind of exists.
The key to the city.
Isn't that a cool that? I must have been. I don't remember when it was before teenager, and I just remember how small my grandmother's hands were and how large that set of keys were, and it's just set with me and I'm he's an important guy. It just was such a good way to illustrate.
In my neighborhood, I've been in my house. I've been on every house that touches a corner, right? Yeah. So my 2 neighbors and my neighbors across, and I kind of boast about it because they trust me enough that I've to invite me in the home, and they've been in my home, and we've all broken bread. But I guess microdosing for me would be just. Well, I guess that's a new concept. Yeah. Microdosing happiness and love, that's a new concept to me.
Yeah.
But
why I am really embracing this right now, and I'm going to start to share more around this, is I think that a lot of the misery that people experience, and I'm part of the people, I'm not going those people, I'm part of the people, is trying to go after something I want to be in a relationship, I want this, and trying to go after something big when the opportunity to just have it in smaller doses in more of a continuous way is always there.
Yeah.
It's always there. I am love. Yeah. I don't have to pursue it.
Yeah.
I know how to have it. I know how to generate it. So I think if we all kind of leaned into that, and when you are leaned into it, like I said, all I have to do is remember those steps, and then I'm open for it. I didn't expect it to happen as soon as I walked out the door. It literally, I did my steps and, meditated a little bit, got in the elevator and had that moment.
Well, I drive over an hour to work every day. Uh-huh. So I wake up, I do my gratitude training. I try to, for sure. Right? Yeah. But one thing I've started trying to force myself to do is when I get out of the car and start work, there's steps to reset, right? So I've adopted writing in my gratitude journal. There's this book called A Father's Story. Uh-huh. It's not a book. There's words in it.
There's notes falling out.
Oh, notes. So it's an empty book, right? Yeah. And so I got it from Jake, my, at the time, 4-year-old for Father's Day. But there's questions in here. What kind of student were you, and did you belong to any groups or cliques? What was your all-time favorite holiday? How'd you meet mom? Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
What golden rule do you want me to live by? And so
I get to give this to them.
Yeah, so like, you know, one thing for me is fill out a question or two every day, gratitude journal, and then be the first to say good morning, right? So like as my staff come in, my team, I try to be the first to say good morning, to be that light and write a quote. And so like the thought is, like those are, I guess, my micro versions
you're
of
microdosing love too.
Yeah, so like just small things, right?
Yeah.
But that scripture, when you were reading it, you know, it's funny, you were saying like that could be a sign of love, and I was like, man, if two people are talking, they could be talking about anything. But if they're talking about you, then obviously there's, you know, whether good or bad, like there's energy of you right there. And so like you should probably always think about like being on the good side, so
Yeah,
you know, people are speaking well about you, right?
I think it's about being on the we side of things, and I'll explain this. And so first of all, I remember like being at church and hearing that quote or hearing that verse and going, this is going to be important to me, but not really getting it. And I'm not, you know, I tried to be a good little church girl, and I don't go to church now. I've, you know, found other ways to practice my own personal spirituality, which I've grown more in that space. And you know, not to poo-poo church, but like for me, I found it easier for me to be more spiritual in a creative space than to be told do it this way, believe it this way.
We
right?
can go on
exactly,
hours.
Exactly. So when I first heard it, I just remember thinking this is going to be important to me, and then I tested it. Remember when I was doing a lot of these public shared experience events? That's really what I was testing, because I had experienced that when people just gather in love, and they don't have to have love for each other, but they're just coming into a space and time with like, I generally have love in my heart. Yeah. And then they're connecting in a we opportunity, not me, not you, we. We are sharing this time and space together. And when you collect and you come together in that we, and like that the focus is interdependence, right? Then something magic is always there. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it happens over and over again. Like it's undeniable to me at this point. Yeah. Like the fact that I can go through those 4 steps, step out of my house, and literally in 20 minutes have a moment like that. I'm like, okay, I got it, dude. I mean, whoever you are, you know, whatever form of God, you know, exists, I hear it. Yeah. So I believe and I strongly believe, and there's some other verses that I've come to gather.
Do you have an icebreaker if there are no keys?
If there are no keys, you know, well, so here those steps become important because when I recall my own love moments, they're like available, like they're top shelf in my computer in my brain. Yeah. So I have something ready to connect with them. Yeah. You know, that like, hey, I have a moment, or I'm just ready for them to share too, and be able to listen. Yeah. You know, like, because if someone meets your glance, especially now in this world where everybody's like head down their phone. Yeah. If they meet your glance, to me, they're in extension mode. So that's why I'm saying, oh, I'm alert. This person actually wants to say hello. Yeah. Whatever. So let's just use it. Let's figure out what the we of this moment is, right?
We did an exercise at USC where it was, okay, A's and B's. Yeah. A's, you're making eye contact, period. Yeah. If it makes you uncomfortable, just force your way through it. Yeah. And the conversation afterwards was interesting. They're like, well, what's that feel like? What's it feel like to purposely like seek out somebody's eyes, you know, and make them make eye contact with you? And then what does it feel like to have somebody like be so aggressive with that? And you know, there's no one answer to it. It's all, you know, depending on how you process those moments, right? Yeah. But I mean, for some people, especially like alphas, that's easy to go out, you know, good morning, like, you know, like look at my eyes, lady, you know, and then like,
is this creeping you out?
Yeah, and then there's that like, if I look away, am I looking weak? You know, so there's all these thoughts going with that. So if you just like strip it all down and say, okay, well, I'm just trying to improve the process of the day or something like that. I mean, that's phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. I know I've told the story a bazillion times, but I don't think I've shared it with you. But when I used to work out of a coffee shop in Venice, there's this place that like it has a step up that you could sit back on your computer, so you would have this really interesting view of like everybody coming in the door because you're just a little bit higher. And I'd watch people come in, And I'd watch for the person that was like brave enough to like lift their eyes and say hello, say good morning to someone. And when that happened, and when the receiver received it and gave it back, you could literally see the energy pen through the ring, ping, 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 ping through the room, where people watched two strangers interact with each other, and then they felt it. Yeah. And as opposed to, so if someone did it and the other person didn't receive it, it just deadpanned.
So think about this, right? So this has brought up a conversation. Does the world revolve around me? Right? Yeah. So think about it. If you walk into a coffee shop, and before you're there, there's a whole different type of energy, right? Yeah. The minute you walk in, now you're physically actually taking up space, and then space is what? Energy and that whole deal. So what you bring into that coffee shop, if you have brought this positive, like smiley, this whole like giddy type of deal, and then the room changes, have you affected your whole surroundings? Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. I mean, there's no stress about that.
When you said that, I'm thinking, does the world revolve around love? I mean, we were tricked to believe it's fear. Like, we look at the media, everything is so fear-based, right? Yeah. But wouldn't it be amazing if we just really believed it evolved around love? I mean, if these moments if we're capable of creating them, making them happy, and doing this together. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, whoa.
I'll tell you,
I feel a little high right now in this moment, and I swear I'm not. Like, I swear. But I'm like, whoa, that's...
Well, I don't know. You were here by yourself for a few hours before I got here.
I was.
So what's up?
Well, I was going to ask you that. Yeah. Well, tell me, what do we need to catch up on?
Oh, like, man.
What's happened since the last time you were here? Which would have been Christmas, holiday season last year.
Oh, yeah, that's
2018.
Right. Well, so... I don't know if if it was that time, I just got the new job as the director of operations, and
I remember that part.
You know, that has been a ride. Yeah. Right. So one of the things that I went in and just kicked doors down was, okay, where's structure? I mean, you go in there and you say, how are we organized? How can we be better? And so like there's this whole creation moment of I can do this creation process. Mm-hmm. I can be effective. I could, change for positive, movement. It's crazy. So having that power, it's nice. It's nice when you get on the phone and you say,
nice. Power is nice. Power.
It's funny that I put it into that term. Yeah. But like when you call, I've made calls as a podcaster and said, hey, this is Robert Graves. I run You're the Vet. What is that? Who cares? Right. Yeah. And you make calls as the director of operations of a large nonprofit. Yeah. And they're like, oh, let me get you right over to so-and-so. Yeah. Whereas like, you might not get a phone call ever, let alone 3 weeks down the line.
Who are you again? Relatable with what? Yeah. I don't know who you are.
So like, I don't. I'm trying to test it out and see like what I can bring to the table with the opportunity I have right now. And then, how can I make a long-term effect before I walk away, if I walk away, But I mean, we all still know my goal is to build a school. And when I die, I will have built that school, so I know I'm not going to die at the DAV. So, so.
I feel that way too. Like if I get myself in dangerous situations, I'm like, my work is not completed yet, so I'm good. Nothing can happen to me because I know I'm supposed to do this one thing. So back to like starting this job and kind of going in there and going, I do have the ability to affect positive change and really oversee some new procedures that are mutually beneficial to everybody here, everybody that's serviced by this organization, people that work here, and so forth. This is a big question I'm going to ask you, and it's loaded, and I know you'll feel it.
I'm already married, sorry.
No, it was... You wish. I'm just kidding.
Come here, G. All right.
Can you believe him?
Yeah, Deeds. I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm married to her. She's my mom. No, this is a bigger question than that. So when you're excited about change and you really see like, oh, well, this is an easier way to do things, and you just think everybody else is going to agree, and you realize, nope, not everybody else is agree. And then you understand, I'm like, oh, there's behavioral types involved in like actually initiating something that's going to work for everybody, and I have to slow down and work through these behavior types. Not that they're right or wrong, or you don't need to label, oh, this one's difficult or whatever.
Yeah.
People learn differently.
Yes.
People are motivated differently.
Yeah.
You know, so tell me what's happening in that category of learning.
Okay, so I work with veterans.
Mm-hmm.
World War II veterans, all the way to my generation of the Iraqi, Afghani veterans. And so I still have individuals who have leadership roles in our organization who hate email, who still use fax. And so, like, as I'm progressing and improving and implementing these new ways, I'll get the feedback like, I don't have Microsoft, or I don't want to do da-da-da, you've got a fancy computer. I'm like, okay, well, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I hear the problem. What's the solution? Because like, I don't want to ostracize anybody. I don't want to separate anybody. I don't want to like say, look, you're old and this is what it's going to be now.
Get up to speed.
I just have to do 2 jobs now, right? The same job, 2 different ways, which is fine.
Yeah.
And if that's what it's going to take for me to accomplish the mission and get people to buy into what I'm selling and see that I'm here for not me, I'm not here for my boss, I'm here for the veterans of California. There's 2 million veterans in California, and only 20% of those veterans are receiving benefits or even know that they are allowed to receive benefits. And that means there's 100 or 1.8 million veterans out there who are just homeless, unemployed. They're
not flourishing.
Not flourishing. And I just had this conversation with a buddy yesterday where we met briefly, and he's like, I have this sizzle. It's a TV promo that he's making. I said, send it to me. I'll send it out. And he's like, man, thanks so much. I got a phone call already. This, that, and the other. And my very first podcast with Lorenzo McNulty, he told me this story where he said his mentor had said to him, I want to buy a yacht, but I want all my friends to be able to also experience this moment, and they need to be rich too. So I took that story and I, with the sports psych mindset, I said, I manipulated to like, I would like to be on the peak of a mountain.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going. I'm walking to this peak, but I'm reaching down and I'm helping these people up with me because I don't want to have to come down the mountain and explain to you how beautiful it is up top. I would rather you
to experience
be there.
me.
So like, for me to reach out and stop what I'm doing and get in my Rolodex and like connect you with somebody, if it improves your life and it doesn't, it's not taken away from me. I mean, besides time, but what. Time's unlimited until we die, right? Was that profound? Because I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Time's unlimited.
Sometimes
time is not limited.
Yeah. Time and I, we don't have a great relationship yet. Like, we struggle because I feel like there's never enough, and it's just like such a precious resource.
Damn you, Mick Jagger.
And sometimes I'm giving it away to things that don't matter. But then you know what? I reflect and go, I started doing this too because I'm really paying attention to how much I microdose. Love.
Yeah.
I mean, as a means to fuel like whatever I need to get done. And sometimes like, instead of at the end of the day going, okay, though everything I did today was a step towards something, and like maybe I didn't like solve world hunger, but like, but I'm making a step towards something, and I should like appreciate and honor that, and like and really value and say thank you for the time I had to do these things, instead of going, ugh. I didn't get it done, and it changes how I look at the next day, how much energy I have, the quality of how I'm giving it and sharing it with other people, like to again celebrate like the micro moments of the pieces that are going to the next step and that's to me is another form of microdosing, like it's just honoring every moment. Like maybe this moment doesn't make a lot of sense or doesn't seem that significant, but I've had a ton of memories at this point in my life where I've looked back and went, wow, like I did not know how special that was in the moment, but that like is so key to this moment now,
Yeah.
So who knows? Like
Jake will tell you, I'll ask, what's success? And I wrote it on a mirror, and now Arlene.
Jake's his son.
Yeah, and Jake's my little man. And I wrote it on a mirror, and Arlene decided, my wife, she decided she didn't want it on the mirror, so she just like got some Etsy art made and
A
put
pretty
it,
thing.
yeah. And so Jake, what's success? And he says, success blesses our lives and our freedoms are abundant because all the work that we have done pays off in dividends daily. I go, what's that mean to you? You know, and it doesn't matter.
This is the Graves mission statement, isn't it?
It's
the family
it's the mission statement.
Code.
And and it's not that I beat it into him. I said it once or twice out loud, and like he just absorbed it. But alas, what does that mean to you?
And how old is he now?
5.
5. So this is a 5-year-old's response.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. And and he goes, well, his response to that is that we'll make more money. I go, well, that's probably part of it too.
It's fine.
But like, what I'm doing, my microdosing goes right into him.
Yeah.
It's like, you're angry right now. How do we get out of this? Because I didn't, and I tell him, my father was not in my life at this point. Mm-hmm. So like for me to be doing this and giving you this good information that like now I have on myself. So I'm doing this so you can be a good leader, you can be a good person, and you can help a lot of people. And so like my microdosing is just, I think, being present in the moments with the people that I have the ability to at the moment. And I know that'll go into another conversation later about being present. But if I could just give you the eye contact and know that I walked away from this connection and it wasn't negative, which like sometimes they are, right? Like sometimes I'm not perfect and like, people will push that button, but that's why I said it's hearing the microdosing terminology. It makes a lot of sense because it's something that like a lot of us that are living in this world, it's something that we do subconsciously or,
to be able to handle the tough stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, last week we talked about, I interviewed Becker, who is producing musical theater, and it's not funded and it's tough. And they're always struggling, to raise funds to do it. Yeah. But their answer for doing it was, this is how we deal with the bad guys of the world. Like this art, this form, this love, this collective interdependence of shared talent and creativity is how we deal with the bad people of the world. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's kind of what we have to do. We know that there's not great stuff in this world and we're exposed to it, but we can't let that run our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What else? I mean,
what?
I also go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go. No, you get off the phone first.
Are you going to ask me a question?
I'll ask you a question. No. Have you seen Joker yet?
No.
Oh my
why
God,
are people so upset about it?
Oh, I'm not upset.
Oh,
it's
some
phenomenal.
people are. Do you know why people are upset about it?
No clue.
It's like it's hidden.
I'll tell you. Well, because it's the story of like the baseline story of Joker, which has never been told. Yeah. Right. It's being created right now in this movie, but it, if you strip it all apart, it deals with mental health, right? And how we as society really beat up those who are taking meds to feel normal, right? All he wants to do is feel normal, and he's just having a shitty day, no spoilers since you haven't seen it.
So is the result of Joker not being on meds?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
I would say. Well, I mean, you have to. It's seriously phenomenal.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, you did a phenomenal job. If you're watching this, if you're watching this, let her know you're watching this.
Yeah.
Because I know that'd be a big ego boost.
Yeah.
No, but I think. Anyway, I brought up Joker because like that is another. What would it look like if we're not being kind to people, and what can we build from that? I mean, phenomenal. It's so good. You have to go watch it.
Oh, I had no reason to see that until you just told me. And now I'm like, okay, I really want to see it.
Can we break the, fifth wall? Have you seen it, T?
Oh, yeah, we break it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's bomb. Bomb. The end of story.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah. So that was inspirational for you. Anything else that you've been exposed to lately that's been really exciting that you think is worth sharing?
I just I was a part of solving a big problem on like my first big problem as the director at the West LA VA campus and helping improve the transportation problems we're having there with veterans. I mean, that was you're talking about like challenges, these challenges that come up, and I'm like, how do we figure this out? That's the fun part to me. It does take me away from the family. You know, I'll sleep at work, aka I'll just stay overnight and work.
Because your work's like an hour and hour
so
plus.
far.
How many?
Yeah.
What's your commute to work?
It's a 48-mile commute. And
it takes you how long?
Yeah. So like I have to get out of the house by, if I don't get out of the house by 6:30 or 6:15, I'm on the road for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
If I leave at 5, then I'm on the road for 57 minutes. On the flip side, if I leave when work closes at 4, then I don't get home till 6:30. And then if I leave at 6, I get home at 7. So typically I just stay at work at home for the 2 hours until 6, get some uninterrupted like quality work done. And then I'll beat feet. But if I have if I like fall behind, I'll stay at work so I can, just have that uninterrupted time. But like having the ability to solve these little challenges, that's been fun.
And I just feel it's important to say, when you ask the question, what if, and you do it a lot, and you're in the practice of what if, you're a better problem solver.
Yeah.
I mean, and this, because why would I bring this up? Because I'm always talking about having this relationship with learning, right? We both have it.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to say that we're wrong or try something different, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
And I like you building your school, like one of the things that I want on my tombstone is like I invited more people into a relationship with learning.
Yeah.
And in a non-intimidating way, in a way that really brought joy and love in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what it is, So when you can ask what if, and when you can teach people to ask what if, because when anybody that's ever managed people, can relate to this, is like, of course you want people to tell you what the problem is, but you also want them to feel empowered to say, I've recognized this problem, and here's what I think the solution might be. Can we explore this? Yeah. Right? You don't want them to just go, this is the problem and we can't get over it. Let's stop here. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
What do you think might be some of the solutions that we could try? Right?
And that's, people don't understand this about the Marine Corps, but like in the Marine Corps,
you're not allowed to.
We do that.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah.
Like good leaders give their subordinates, whatever you want, their troops, they give them the opportunity to fail. Then they teach them why they failed, and then they help them get to a point where now they can say, okay, you failed here. How can you change this? What next, right? And that's what the training is. Training. In real world situation, yes. Like there's I said it, do it, right? But in training, okay, Graves, come over here. Like it's your turn. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
That's how I treat my team in the field. It's like, okay, you got this idea. I can solve this for you, sure. But why don't you go ahead, give me your shot, and then we'll work to. And I mean, I've only got 26 employees. We have only got 26 employees. Everybody else is volunteers. So now you have to figure out, like,
that's a tough one too. When you're managing volunteers, that's
how do you make volunteers happy? Yeah. So there is a challenge. Yeah. And compassion. It goes so far. Creating awards and certificates saying thank you, pats on the backs, calls, text. Hey, I heard your wife's having surgery today. I hope everything's fine. Like, let us know if you need help. That has gone so far, and of course I can't touch everybody, but like the ones that I do, like I hope it just spreads, right? Yeah. So pay it forward. That's pay it forward.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've talked a lot of good stuff. What's anything frustrating? Anything like you're noticing in the world and you're like,
if I break this cup.
I shouldn't ask you why you're drinking.
What are you frustrated about?
What's just, so wrong in your viewpoint right now that you wish you had an answer for?
It's
a loaded question.
It's a loaded question.
I know, I like asking you loaded questions.
I think that I should have prepped for this one, but because
I know you can handle it.
No, I'll tell you what. Like, it's. I live in a political world right now, and I'm not even talking about like Dems and Republican kind of politics. I live in like the nonprofit political world now, and people trust me too much, I feel. But you know, like we talked earlier, you're like, I can always depend on you, and you're gonna pull through.
Yeah.
I think like for me, my biggest turmoil right now is really finding that myth of the work-life balance. I mean, there's bigger stuff that like I don't want to like get fired for, but like, well, I don't think I would get fired.
Can I paraphrase? I can just because I know you, and I'm feeling some energy here, so I'm gonna paraphrase what I think might be. So, because I have some experience with the nonprofit world, is first of all, you're so limited in resources, and everybody's kind of tired and spread thin, and so the new person that comes in is you're held to a different level of accountability because it's just new energy, and yet you're gonna get quickly absorbed into the culture of getting exhausted and not see, you see everything that you want to do and you can't do it.
Yeah.
And then you still have somebody looking at you kind of like a savior to go, yeah, well, you should be able to do that, you new kid, new fresh energy. But it's like, no, there's a political nature of how the organization was founded and how people function and how it functions with government and how it functions with fundraising and all these things. And so I can only imagine that you get excited and then you can't. You can't really, with all the variables at hand, you just can't move it forward.
You can't.
And then you're part of the culture.
And you still have to please like the people who helped you get to where you're at, you know, like, whether that be with my wife, my kid, my friends, you know, like I had to schedule a Skype session with my friends like 3 weeks in advance yesterday, and none of them came on. If you're watching this, screw you guys. But like, you know, I'm done with school until Jake goes back to school. Yeah. Once Jake goes to get his bachelor's, I'll go get my doctorate. Yeah. Right. But I'm done with school. It's been realistically, it's been 11 years. But like, it's been the last 6 years have been hard hitting. Like, let me get the bachelor's all the way to the second master. I mean, that's behind me. Now focus on the job. But I need to focus on making my wife feel loved. And I need to I went home and I told her a couple weeks ago, I said, look, I know you're doing a lot around here and I need to pick up the slack. And she's like, well, you're always working, and so your Saturdays are sick. I said, no. My Saturdays need to like be here and help. And so like, my big thing is reassessing, constantly doing this internal talk and figuring out what's going on and how I can improve in my own personal life, in my work life, in my family life, in my social life. And then, you know, that's really the big pull. Yeah. I mean, because we're going to have all that other stuff that stuff that work brings, no matter what company you go to, there's going to be something, right?
And I don't, I'm kind of starting to have a different relationship with terms around self-care, because I believe so much in the collective we. That I think that when we just talk about, well, you need to just take care of yourself better, that like you're missing. So I'm focused, I'm focused on this one thing, and I'm going to share it with you, and I feel like you might be focused on this too. I'm really just focused on humans flourishing together.
Yeah. Well, my thesis is all about flourishing. Yeah. Have you read Flourish?
No.
Martin Seligberg?
No, but I just realized Harvard has a whole program on I'm like,
positive psychology.
No, they have a whole human flourishment program. I mean, that positive psychology, Sean Acker, I think, that was one of the professors for that. But they have a whole, I don't know how new it is, but a lot of really powerful information and research coming out of it. Yeah. Where I don't think you can get a degree in it, but it's definitely a program that you can take.
You can get a certification. And so, like, you know, Martin Seligberg is the father of positive psychology. I mean, I'll show you the book next time I bring. But every page is tabbed. I used it thoroughly for my thesis. Yeah. So, and you know, flourishing is a big, strong, deep word into my chest, because I know like there's this micro community that you're in, but there's that big like macro focus on how do we make our communities flourish. Yeah. Like, and say hi to your mailman when you go to the grocery store. Definitely. Like
it doesn't seem right to me that my survival or my ability to thrive shouldn't be connected to someone else not. Like, you know, like if in order for me to get up, it's like if I thrive, we all thrive. Like when you say I'm on the mountain and I'm pulling people up because I don't want to tell you what it's like here. I want you to experience this with me. Like that's to me what it's all about. Like I can't say that I'm thriving until everybody in my community around me is too.
You know, I was just, my alma mater at CSUN, they just wrote a piece on me, and when it was shared, I said, you know, to my veteran fraternity, my frat brothers and sisters, I said, my wins are your wins. Yeah. You know, and I feel that for anybody I've ever had encounter with, like, if I'm moving up, as long as we've had interaction and like you're in my Rolodex, like that means that everybody that I've touched is, you know, that's up for grabs.
You know who did this, showed this in concept and approved it in such a cool way? Tiffany Haddish.
What'd she do?
Well, she had, so there's a series.
She's so funny too.
I love her. Honestly, I'm just going to say it. Yeah, I can't do her dance. I wish she could teach me how to twerk too, because this white butt cannot twerk. It's embarrassing. It's just totally embarrassing.
That's the show we should be doing.
Yeah, I know, right? But I truly believe if everybody had a friend like Tiffany Haddish, that we would not have racism. I really believe it.
She still uses Groupon.
Yeah, she's so cool. But
my favorite thing about her, when her pop out year, right? She bought that one dress. For the horses. She's like, I'm gonna wear this dress for all the shows.
I love that. She wore it when Dave Letterman.
Yeah.
But no,
so I'll wear this dress.
So she has a series on Netflix right now where she took less known female comedians and gave them the spotlight. And every story is her saying, like, when they were like starving and living in their cars and, you know, doing the local comedy clubs, like she said, hey, if I make it, you're all coming with me. Yeah. Every single one of you. And she lived up to that promise and has this great series. I'm like, damn girl, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you show people.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree. I love her.
Well, Tiffany.
Huh?
I mean, get up on the show.
Get up on the show. Yeah. I love her.
Hashtag get up on it.
Oh my God. That'd be the dream. If I had Tiffany Haddish as a best friend, I mean. I'm sorry.
We went from like getting on the show to like spa days and like family vacations.
Yeah.
Look, if Tiffany was my best friend.
Listen, if anybody wants to get me something for Christmas, on the show first. It should be and my birthday is 2 days before, so you can get. This could be the ultimate combo gift that I would accept, because usually the combo gift is like really, that's just such a jip.
Here's
like
some socks. Yeah, you got one sock for birthday and Christmas.
Sorry, parents, I'm totally calling you out because I know this happened.
As you should.
Yeah, but so when my birthday rolled around, you know, they would just go to the hiding place and you know, for the like Christmas presents and like, well, let's just give her this early. But then in comparison to like my brothers and sisters, you know, birthday parties where they're like a lot of toys, I'm like, oh, I got gypped. Yeah, so I've always had a little crush. But listen, I would totally accept the combo gift if it was meeting Tiffany Haddish with some indication that we were going to be best friends. Like, that would work out for me.
I don't want to meet her if I can't be her best friend.
No. Like,
I need to know. Potential.
I need to know that we're going to be friends. I think we would be friends.
Who would you bring up?
I would learn how to twerk.
If you became Tiffany Haddish.
Who would I bring up? Yeah. Oh, man, there's so many people. You know, honestly, so you're like 131st episode. You know, I've interviewed 130 plus people. And every single one of them, and especially the ones that are doing something, they're like, they care about human flourishment. Like, we share this, you know. It's a comment, and I see how hard they're working, and I know that whatever they're doing, if it's a workshop or a training, it's good stuff. Yeah. And they're working so hard. Yeah. To get, you know, 20 people to show up, and I'm like, man, if people knew how powerful this was, you know, so every single one of them, I would want to do something for. And I actually am working on something I haven't told you. Yeah. Human Swell. You guys will hear about this. That has some of that in there. That where like we collectively would, you know, it would be a place where you would go and go, yeah, I want to flourish, and let me find something in my local area that I can go drop in. But yeah, all of them. Yeah. All of them. All of them. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Hold her honest.
All right. So, okay. Last question I want to ask before we talk about the homework assignment I gave you. Yeah. What's new? What have you learned new about parenting since last time? You might have remembered if you watched the show, and I don't know what number it is, but I'll put it in the archive. The last time Robert was here on his own show day, so we had a collective show, a holiday show where there were some other past guests, but the last time he was here, he came into the studio carrying Buzz Lightyear, the toy, because Jake needed him to, or Jake gave you the toy to so he could see that he took the toy to work and about his travels, and it was just awesome.
He'll do it at work. I mean, and I take a little picture. Yeah. But he happened to be on TV that day, so that was special.
Yeah, that was really.
I'll tell you, like parenting. I mean, realistically, the same as marriage. There's no right answer. No right answer.
You're always learning.
Look me in my eyes. There's no right answer. Like legit. And I'll talk to other parents, and what are you doing? And I feel that parents look to me sometimes like, not as like, oh, you're all wise and knowing, but like, oh, you're doing it right. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing it. Like I'm just.
I might have had a moment of doing it right?
I've made decisions that like, I'm not. When I was before Jake, I'd say, oh yeah, I'm gonna spank my kid. I got spanked. Look at me now. Like I'm good.
Who was big enough to spank you?
At 5, everybody. Like, go get a switch. You ever been down south? Get a switch off the tree? Yeah. But like I've made a decision, and I try to live by it as best I can. And so far so good. That I'm not gonna lay hands on the kid. Yeah. I mean, I might like pull him real hard or something like that. Yeah. But I've started like making him do wall sits, and so it's like, oh, if we're gonna have these moments, then you're gonna get strong out of it. And then, so I'll tell him like
sitting against the wall like you're in a chair?
Oh yeah.
No chairs there?
No chair there. Ooh. And like he's only 5, so he can hold on right now. But the thought is like,
how long does he do that for?
He's done it for 5 minutes. Yeah. His first time was 5 minutes. The second time was 2 minutes. He's like, my legs are on fire. I'm like, I'm sure they are. Now what,
His little legs are shaking.
I'm like, so why did you lie to Dad? So like when that pain comes, then we'll get in that conversation. Yeah. And all I have to say is like, hey man, there's a lot of walls around here, and yes sir, no, and I don't need him to call me sir, but what I do need him to do is be mindful of his actions, be polite, be respectful, the consequences, and understand that. Like I tell him, he's in kindergarten now. He started off well, the second week they have these color charts, green, yellow, it's really bad. But he started getting down this color chart, and I'm like, hey man, what's going on?
Like the color represents what?
Like thumbs up is the best. Green's like you've been well behaved. Yellow's like you're kind of average. Yeah. Like I had to talk to you today, and then it like gets down, and he started getting down like red. And I'm like, I know you're not this kid. What's going on? So I had to go talk to the teacher and say, I guess one big thing about parenting that I learned was that it's okay to open up and talk to that other parent. Yeah. Right? Because like Arlene and I we're different spectrum. Yeah. We grew up way different. Yeah. And so I said, I think we might be at the time where I need to lay hands on this kid. And she's like, no, I didn't. I was the same way. I was like, I was the same way. And I know that when my dad told me to do something, like it was done. Yeah. Right? So we had this conversation, and I said to her, I go, look, one good thing about this moment is that like we are having the conversation. I didn't go do something, and then we're having the that review of what happened. Why are you making? We didn't do that. We get to do this in real time and then move forward. And I think I owe that to her because at some point we were about to discipline him, and she's like, I had started to, and she's like, let's talk about it first. Nice. I said okay, and so that's the route we go. But with Jake in this class going down and down and down, I went to the teacher and I said, hey, what's going on? Because this is what's about to go down in the house if I don't know what's going on. So we made a decision where what happens at school, let that happen. And then when you come home, I won't talk about like your behavior at school. I'll talk, were you compassionate? Did you help a friend? Mm-hmm. Did you try to answer all the questions? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to try to build all of that positively on the front side. And then, like, if I have to discipline them, sit them on the wall, right? But, like, feed that stuff that I want them to get from school. Mm-hmm. Were you trying to be knowledgeable? Were you trying to be courageous? Were you, did you take risk on something that so feed them that stuff. Can you imagine if somebody was feeding you that at 4 or 5 years old for the next 18 years, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how mentally strong and courageous and confident you'd be in yourself.
Yeah.
If you had like this just positive knowledge again beat into you.
You know, the two things in there that are like really special to me is the relationship with curiosity.
Yeah.
I can't wish that or express that enough, how important that is for us to all have. And then the slow down in the moment of the now.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like slowing down judgment, speeding up curiosity, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you can catch yourself, even like when you're talking about him sitting on the wall, like to the point where, you know, his dad, my legs are kind of on fire. Like it's really forcing them to slow down and be in the now. And we know what this world's going to do to them.
Yeah.
We know how distracted we are.
Yeah.
We know like how you know, you miss those moments, those micro moments that are really important.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty powerful.
You know, and that goes for every. What is there a teaching moment right now for anybody? Mm-hmm. My team, my kid, my wife, myself. You know, can we use this as a teaching moment? And I really have moved that into the parenthood side and the father side, and I think, you know, everything's an experiment. Yeah. Right.
And what worked last week doesn't mean it's going to work this week.
Exactly.
Either, right? You got new
Next
variables.
week I might actually be putting pause on him.
Yeah.
Like
I doubt
no,
it.
I doubt it too.
Yeah.
He's a crazy good kid, and you know, I'm blessed. I'm just blessed in life. I'm blessed in life. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know, as hard as some of this stuff seems sometimes, and as like strung out and tired as we feel, and like, I mean, even like I was thinking about this on the way over here. Remember, you know, you started in a studio with a green screen, and like, you know, I had a green shirt on. It's like we both have.
How did we get around that? Oh, you just had a shirt on.
I had a T-shirt on, and I had to take the T-shirt off.
Yeah.
But like, I went in my naked body.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody's like, what show is that?
Yeah,
what show was that?
Show 32.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we haven't stopped.
Yeah.
Right? And there's been nothing but growth and progression in learning, revisiting some of the thoughts that we had, and like manipulate. It's never going to stop, and that means that like everything that we do is just going to get better if we baseline it in what we believe in, which is
and
goodness.
Continue this relationship with learning and commitment to human flourishment.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that's a good segue to what else we need to talk about. And so I gave you this homework assignment.
Yep.
I the beginning of this year, and I haven't done it enough, right? So at the beginning of this year, when I started the season, I was like, look, I want to have something that's like safe for the guest and I to do together, that is in the now, and it's vulnerable. You know, it's learning. It's vulnerable learning, but there's some safety around it. There's some playfulness around it, and so I created these dice. And one, of course, has all the body language, or excuse me, has all of our senses on it, plus body language.
These?
Yeah, I created these.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I created these.
I had no idea.
Well, I created them.
Marketing magician.
Well, I haven't, you know, it's interesting because I do marketing for a living, but when I'm in this zone, I'm not really, it's so relational to me. It's not transactional, so I don't think of all the marketing things that I should be doing. I should, but whatever. That's a whole other conversation.
You can buy these for $3.99.
Yeah.
No,
well, we actually, after the end of the show, I want people to give me feedback if they want these. Then because I've sold out. I did a short run of them. I've actually sold out of them, and I have some ideas on how to revise them. Yeah. So I might make another set. So anyhow, one has all of our senses plus body language. And then the other one is a prompt to like talk about that sense, like a memory, something around relating. You know, an experience that you had or wish you had or hope to have in the future. And so, you know, there's things like, you know, it's a dare, body language dare or whatever, or wild, or swap stories, or when act something out. And what does this mean? So they've been here the whole year. And some shows we did it, at first we did it, but then sometimes people would just be going and I didn't want to interrupt them. And I'm like, well, it's kind of the time saver. So we haven't done it in a while. Because it's just important for me to be like relating with people. So I gave Robert a set of dice, and I was like, go home, play with these with Arlene, maybe Jake, you know, if you can explain it, because it's a little very adulty.
Jake actually liked them.
He liked them too.
Yeah, he liked.
Because they feel good, right?
Yeah, he's like throwing, I want to play with them.
They're relational wooden dice. So So I gave you a set, told you to take them home and play with them. What happened?
So, like I said, Jake wanted to play with them more than Arlene did. But, and I brought him to work, right? So I brought him around, and what I realized was that it's a good icebreaker, right? It's a good way to get intimate conversation. It will also, if you don't find those people who will get there and open up and be vulnerable, it's also very, like, you can throw it and you'll get a very short answer. Tell me a time, like, share a sniff story. It's like, well, I walked by garbage today and it smelled old. You're like, that just ended there.
Well, but I think that for me, because, and you and I were talking about this off camera, I have a very dirty mind. I don't know. Nobody knows this, especially during the show. I have a ridiculously dirty mind. And so when I throw these, that's where I go. It's always going somewhere And so when I've given them to people, I'm like, oh, you should be playing this in a little intimate game, because it's going to get fun very fast. And they're like, how so? And I'm like, I'll show you. And this is what I would do. So what
did we say? Let's get R-rated?
Yeah, it's like R-rated.
Let's get R.
But if you throw them and someone and their prompt is not so R-rated, or it's like, look, I'm really uncomfortable, then you know safely where you can go.
Exactly.
Like you're not, I'm not a jerk. Like, I'm not gonna go, all right, fine. Let's make this really crazy and hard for you. So they're good for that too, to just kind of test the waters of like, how much can we share in this moment?
How vulnerable can you be? And and I think also what I saw was kind of what you were saying, based off the first person's share, that's where it kind of opens up to.
Yeah.
If you shared really PG-13, the next person's probably going to be like very kind of like standoffish and like, oh, well, I have to find a very family-friendly story to tell right now as well.
The other thing is, with these is, if someone's in the now in the moment with you, because we're all distracted. We might be thinking of something else, but if their response is like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm thinking about right now, then you're like, oh, you're with me, you're here with me. So is there anything? We'll roll them twice, but is there anything that you want to tell me from your experience of playing at work, at home?
No, like I said, depending on the type of person or like their background, I think that really, like, for instance, I'm 10-year Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I went really R-rated really quick, and but me opening up that way, or one of the 60-second holds and stuff like that, you really have to be confident in your own self to do some of the stuff, or even to speak on it.
We did a 60-second stare on the show, and I'm like, oh, I got this, but like 30, 40 seconds in, I was like, wow, and both me and the woman that I did this with, we were like kind of tearing up. It was so, like, our eyes are very spiritual, they carry a lot of spiritual energy, and you think like, I have no problem making eye contact with you, or I have no problem making eye contact with most people. 60 seconds takes you into some spiritual energy that is, I mean, I think it's back to love microdosing. Well, like, you get somewhere.
Your hugger, isn't that like minutes?
Yeah, I think we did. We had a professional hugger, Steve, on the show, and he hugged me for 5 minutes, and I was high. I literally felt high when we were done. It was so crazy. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, all right, let's do. You okay with?
I'm good.
Good? Okay.
Golden.
So why don't you roll first, and then I'll roll second, just to give an example.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Yeah. Baby always needs shoes. All right, so we got eye, so something to do with eye contact. And then the prompt is, do this means what? So we can either talk about like something involving eye contact that happened in the past, and you're like, I never understood what, like when this person was making this weird eye contact, what they were trying to get across, or maybe a new way to like if I gave you this eye contact prompt, do you think somebody would give, would understand what it means? Well, I'm just saying this is what we could talk about. You might have what did you interpret it?
Well, so it says.
What? I turned it around. Do this mean what?
Do this, as in see.
Means what, yeah.
Like vision means what. So I went off your prompt. The rules.
Yeah. They're in the rules. I think there's no,
there are
like
no
relating,
rules. Well,
there are
I
no rules.
didn't realize that until today.
Yeah.
So like, that would have been fun to kind of like expand on that.
Yeah.
I would say like, so, you know, it's funny because we're teaching Jake how to wink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like,
that's a good one. Is winking always flirting?
It's, yeah, I mean.
Is it?
Well, it's funny because I know the power of eyes.
Yeah.
And going to this, does this mean what? I've gotten in trouble, not like literal trouble, but like I've passed on messages that I didn't mean to pass on with my eyes, you know, and, you know, whether it's just like a bright smile with the eyes or like, you know, a curiosity, but like people have taken it into a different context and have come to me and said, hey, like, you know, I don't know what you're trying to pass on to me, but like, that's not where I'm at. I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? I may have had something in my eye.
Yeah.
But what I do know with that portion is that you say a lot with your eyes, and I've had to be more mindful about the nonverbals I give like that. So, and I can't think of a.
I don't think I lie. I think you know it if I'm like not comfortable. Like I think I make a lot of facial expressions and eyes and stuff, and so, like I can't, like if something's like, I can't, like I just like but I also want people.
Hey,
to
we're getting married.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I'm really into that. I think that's great. You know, like I think I'm totally too expressive, but I forgot what I was going to say about this. But I also want to warn people, even though like there are good books about body language, and I've read a lot of them, and you know, look for those cues. Like we should all know, you know, what nonverbal cues are, but not everybody fits into the same verbal cues. And you could be like reacting to something, like I might like recall a memory and I do something weird with my eyes, and you think, is she doing that to me? And it's not. Like, so this is why like communication becomes so important, because yes, like this is communicating, this communicates because we are visual creatures. Like we take the visual cues and then we form some kind of meaning to it. We meaning make what it means, but the check-in should always be communication. Yeah. Hey, when you did that, what did you mean by that?
It's perfect that you're saying that, because so many times throughout a week, I'll say to somebody that you may have done that, but it's not important unless they perceived it that way. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like I can't control how you perceived my actions, and that's a lot to do with what I was saying. Yeah. Like what I'm passing on. So anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
All right, let's roll one more. That was a good share.
Roll it.
All right, what's that? The deeds. Did you guys notice that the dog was in here? Oh, we got the 60-second, and I've never had 60-second with hearing. So the sense of hearing, so I immediately go to, well, what would you not want to hear for 60 seconds? Or what would you want to hear? Like, what's the most pleasing thing that you could hear for longer than like just a couple seconds? Yeah. And what would you not? And like high pitchy stuff, like, oh, that always like, I can't even, I'm out when it's too, like.
My mind immediately went to Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but D does, because he's smiling. Oh, there.
You know what I'm talking about, D?
No.
He's like, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
What did D do? Oh, yeah, that's the dog. It's like, no, I'm out.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
No, I think, I think about this often, actually. Yeah. And I'll say it in conversation. Have you ever just shut up for 60 seconds? A minute's a long time. Just shut the fuck up. For 60 seconds? That's hard. It's hard sometimes. It's hard because in sports psych, we have these, I mean, you know about these trainings. It's not just sports psych. The breathing training. It's like you breathe and then you count to 1, 2. If you lose track, go back to 1. 60 seconds is a long time. So what I think I would want to hear for a nice soothing 60 seconds, a stream, water, something like foresty.
Yeah.
Unless it's a bear.
Yeah. a bubbling brook.
A babbling brook.
Yeah.
But
Not a woman named Brooke babbling. I just want to be clear about that.
How many brooks do you know?
None. Thank God, because they'd be like, "You think I babble?"
All you do, here comes babbling brook.
Brooke, yeah. Well, the other thing that I think of that's pleasing, I love string music. I love the sound of the cello. Oh, so beautiful. Like
I was at
seconds.
a party the other day. Oh, wrong. I went to dinner, but then we went to a concert, and it was a harp. I'm like, people were playing the harp
too.
Like, this lady was like playing jazz music with the harp. I was like, I didn't even realize there was a harp until I saw it.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I heard it.
Do you know there's a thing called the Earth Harp? So they've been on America's Got Talent and at Burning Man, and it's this like larger than life harp that they string up either between buildings.
Yeah, I saw it on America's Got Talent.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so when we in downtown Los Angeles, Broadway was like kind of the old Hollywood, and so there's all these old theaters, and there's an event once a year. Well, there used to be because our councilman got in trouble, but hopefully it comes back. But it's called Bring Back Broadway, and they light up all the marquees and block the street off, and it's just a huge street party, and the different theaters have events going on. It's a huge party.
You gotta let me know when that
The last one, I tried to drink all the tequila in downtown Los Angeles with my friend Dan. I tried.
All of it.
I was unsuccessed, but I tried. Yeah, I was hurting the next day.
Your eyes were definitely lying that day.
I was like, more tequila than blood in me. But it was good. But they had it. They had the Earth Harp in the middle of one of the intersections, and it was very cool to listen to. Very cool to hear.
Have you heard about the lady who got like the seismograph? She got something implanted in her.
No.
So every time there's an earthquake in the world, like she moves her body, it makes her move her body.
No, but
which is all the time.
I know a guy, and I'll show you pictures after, that has put a camera. So he's a cyborg that has a camera. I don't know him personally, but he's got a camera thing that is like your phone camera that's recording pictures as you're talking to him, and it's implanted in his brain. I'll show you guys this afterwards.
Is that like?
I'll share it in the archives too, because you're all like, "What? Who does she hang out with?"
Isn't that like a violation of?
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, and I'm sure we're getting close to the end here.
Who's that guy?
I'll share.
I would like to see that guy.
Okay, you'll see it afterwards.
No, I want to like see him in person.
I know, I do too. I'm like, I have so many questions for him. So many questions.
He probably got like punched in the face once. He's like, I'm never going to get punched in the face and not know who did it again.
He's going to take several pictures of me and go, "This is the lady that asked too many questions."
This is babbling brook.
This is babbling brook. This is babbling brook, definitely. All right, so we have two more things to do together.
Yeah.
So one is, so you haven't been asked this question. So in this season, Relatable Season 3, I've asked every guest, what does this phrase mean to them? And the phrase is exceptional human encounter. What does it mean to you? And if you have an example of one, please share it.
Oh yeah, I mean, so now that I'm in this veteran space that people know to call me, right?
Yeah.
This is one thing I continuously tell my team. We have to take the call that we get at the moment as if we are possibly the last person they're going to call, right? Some of the vets and some of the family members, and family had their vet die, or like, I just had a situation where a father called me because his son has been incarcerated improperly, and and he's a 3-tour Iraqi veteran, PTSD, suicide. Like, I hear sob stories often. And
real story, real
oh my God.
Real trauma.
Oh my God, it puts me in I feel like, what am I crying about and whining about, right? But I keep telling my team that you have to treat these individuals as if we are the last stop. If you're going to pass on a phone number, make sure the phone number works. Make sure that that's the organization that
never say, "Oh, try this." I don't know. Like,
no, we need to be the last stop. And make sure and follow up with them, follow through. If you're going to say you write an email, I'll send you this information in email, and be courteous. Because, with the suicide rate and everything, like, you never know if you're going to be that person's. It happens. People call your phone. they don't get the answer, they might get an answer machine, they're not getting the call back, and then they're not alive next week. It happens. So I think that phenomenal human interaction is being present in those moments, being and not being passive, being active in solving those situations, and being genuine in those. Like, look, man, I don't know what you're going through, and I'm not going to pretend, but I'm going to help you get an answer. And so that's been in these last 10 months, 11 months now. That's been building up, and that's the message I'm passing on to my team. And without having coined it in a term.
Let's just make every encounter an exceptional human encounter.
It's got to be.
If this is the last call, if they're even thinking this could be the last call, that the last time they're going to ask for help, that your job and your team members' jobs are to go, let them experience something exceptional, so they know this is not the last, that they have hope.
Think about it. Think about the last time you had shitty customer service. It's often.
Yeah.
And think about the time where you've had great customer service. You walk away in a whole nother energy, and you feel like, oh, there is hope. There is, like, somebody's on my side. Too often, like, do we talk to, like, the cable company or something, and it's like, why are you still asking for my last four, my social? And it's like, I've already answered this question 6 times.
Yeah.
Those people who are calling my office feel that way about, I'm calling another service organization. I've already called, not to name names, this organization, this organization, this organization, and they're all telling me, well, maybe DAV can help. Well, if they're telling you that, I'm going to make sure I can help.
Yeah.
So,
do you have an example? You're like, I really felt, and maybe outside of work, but that you're like, oh, that was a good, exceptional human encounter. It doesn't have to be out of work, but do you have something that happened recently? You're like, yep, this person gets flourishment.
The father I just talked about, who called, he popped into the office and shook my hand. He's like, hey man, thank you so much for, and I push that to anybody I try to push help. Hey, if I send you to somebody and they've helped you, please reach out and say thank you. I think just recently, actually, to answer that story, is yesterday I was at the West LA VA or federal building where the VA is. They have VA Health, which is the hospital, and VA Benefits, so VBA. And I stopped in and I talked to my counselor who helped me get my money for USC and stuff like that. And I said, hey, I just wanted to come in and show you that, like, here I am now, and I have to thank you. And he's like, man, that's great. Like, nobody comes in here to do that, and I think it's really, it's important to acknowledge those that have helped you get to where you're at. And so that's my personal story of that exceptional human interaction.
Definitely.
Because it's back to paying it forward.
Definitely.
So pay it forward.
It's a great example. All right.
You're a great example.
Thank you. You're a great example. You're a great example.
Hang up.
Yeah. No, you go first. All right. We only have a couple more minutes, and the last thing that we get to do together is a social challenge of the week. You know how I feel about learning, and you do too. I'm just going to give the microdosing. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to microdose on love. I think that has to be the social challenge. I've talked about this in the last show, and I just shared actually the formula for it, so I'll put it in the archives. I want everybody to try my formula for microdosing love and see if you don't have some very profound, beautiful, spiritual encounter. Yeah. I really believe in it. I've tested it so many times, I'm surprised I haven't shared it to this point. And I really want to hear back from you. And I know Robert always wants to hear if somebody has a good positive experience or anything that he said. If it's left a mark on you, reach out to him. You've got his Instagram handle and social media handles on the screen, and we'll share how to get a hold of Robert in the archives as well. So we're all going to microdose on love. And if you guys want me to bring these back, so if you want me to make them available on the website, I need to hear that too. I need some feedback. I have some ideas of how I would improve on these, but let me know. But yeah,
I have a challenge.
You have a challenge?
I have a challenge.
Okay.
So when you feel that something is not going your way, or somebody has done wrong by you, or it's just not the outcome that you're looking for, ask yourself, what can I do to improve it? Or what did I do? What was my role in it, right? Instead of that you talk, do the I talk.
And yeah,
right?
That's always helpful. Or how would I feel without that expectation, really?
Yeah.
Like because that was your expectation.
Yeah.
And if you removed yourself from like having that connection to that expectation, like who would you be without it? Like it's probably a better feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that challenge.
I do that.
Too.
I absolutely have to say, okay, what can I do to make this better?
Yeah.
Because if I put it on other people, it's not fair. That's how we've got here.
I know.
Put it on other people.
Exactly. All right, man.
Not we.
Another great show. It was great to see you. I know. Woo! It was great to see you. That brings us to another edition of Relatable. As always, I really want you guys to think about this term, exceptional human encounters, and think about how you can make one happen. I know you can. I created one this morning. This man creates them everywhere he goes. So does the guy behind the camera. And sometimes even my dog. So you try it. Have an exceptional human encounter happen today. See you next week.